Hello, welcome to the MTX Podcast. My name is Jakub Novak, and I'm the Vice President of Services with MTX, and I'm joined here with Karan.
Hi, my name is Karan Wadhwani, and I'm the Senior Manager for Project Management Team at MTX.
All right, well, today we would like to discuss with you a topic of managed services. So, with that being said, we want to first level set and talk about what managed services is, and talk about some challenges and some opportunities in this area, how to make this process as efficient as possible. So, Karan, can you speak a little bit about the definition of what we mean by managed services?
Yeah, managed services is basically we have service level agreements with the clients, how we deliver and work on use cases, and look at the severity and the timeline as well, what we deliver it in. So.
Yeah, it's an exciting area actually. I've been in this industry for 20 years, and I've worked on a lot of implementation projects. But it's always an exciting time to go live and implement a new solution. But then the question is, what happens? What happens next? How do you sustain the solution that you launched? And that's the part that not everybody thinks about. How do we keep and maintain a solution going after it's gone live? And there's a lot that goes into it, right?
Yep, absolutely. Once the bigger enhancements are complete, we still have to deliver on the minor enhancements. So that's where managed services comes into play, and there is a lot of work that's basically involves that as well. It could be from security updates, it could be licensing updates, so and also the minor break fixes that needs to be worked on. So.
Yeah, and when I talk to our clients, right, they ultimately want peace of mind. When they launch a software, they want to make sure that it stays stable. There's no outages, there's no issues. If there's a 2 a.m. outage that happens, then what? Right. It could have a big reputational challenge for the client. It could have significant cost impact, right?
Absolutely.
So it's critical that there's a structure, there's a plan, there's a there's a team of experts who can actually sustain that solution.
Absolutely, and the cost you mentioned about that as well. Managed service definitely provides a lot of cost benefits to the client as well, rather than having a team upfront to work on cases or issues that could come up. A year or 2 years contract definitely helps in cost reduction as well for the client.
Yeah, and to your point, the cost. There's the other factor that when I talk to our clients that I hear a lot about, which is predictability, right? It's important that client has peace of mind and understands again, there's not going to be a huge spike because of issues. Right. So it's all about being proactive. It's all about managing potential issues before they even come up, as well as managing issues that may come up, just general support and so on.
Absolutely, and that also gives the client the ability to grow their team in other areas, which is newer technology, newer features that's going to be rolled out. So having the managed services piece, outsourced, definitely helps the client in a big way.
And this applies to a wide variety of technologies, right? Yep. Obviously, we work primarily on cloud platforms, but any sort of technology or software that's out there needs this type of support, right? After it's live, again, like I said, who wants to deal with issues that may come up, especially in unpredictable times.
Absolutely.
So Karan, can you speak a little bit about some of the challenges, a little bit more in depth, that we just discussed? I know that again, top of mind things that when we speak to our clients, things like security, things like forecasting and predictability, things like talent, and where do you find the talent to do this kind of work?
Right. So definitely starting with security, that is one of the bigger concerns currently with all the security attacks going on around the world. That's where tying up with a managed service provider who has security products that does all the functionalities like penetration testing, SIM logs, surface attacks, that can all be part of a managed service agreement. That can be basically a year-long agreement. And so anything that happens, if there is a surface attack coming in from the external agents, that can be tracked and resolved at the same time without having the client wake up in the middle of the night to see what's going on. So it's like a break fix for cybersecurity issues as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that, if I had one advice to our clients, is definitely look for a provider that has those capabilities, because cybersecurity these days is, the top topics. And again, when it comes to cost and potential impact on the business organization, etc. This is one of the areas that certainly shouldn't be underestimated. And I think as a provider, it's important to have some kind of a baseline version of cybersecurity service in addition to other managed service offerings.
That can be a structure like a subscription model given to the vendor, where they can basically, it can be on a monthly basis, 3-month basis, or year-long basis. So that kind of a subscription model will basically help the cybersecurity team work on and grow as well. So
yeah, absolutely. I hope you didn't have any 2 a.m. wake up calls on your projects, but I do remember a few of those. So I absolutely agree that it's important to try to prevent problems. Either be in cybersecurity or just general outages. Sometimes there's software upgrades that happen and can disrupt operations, right? And again, it's critical to have a team in place that can handle those effectively and efficiently and close those out as soon as possible.
Right. Yep, absolutely. On the software upgrades, most of the current software products need an upgrade. If it's not monthly, it could be a quarterly. So that has to be also taken care of. So that's where the managed services team comes into play and helps the client work on those software upgrades quarterly basis or monthly basis. That way, and they basically track it, they prepare for it. There's a lot of testing that goes into
Absolutely.
it. And then even the post-production testing once the new features are launched. So that's where managed services team can play a big role as well.
Exactly. I think that you mentioned the keyword, the preparation, right? And different vendors, different software technologies have different approach. Obviously on-premise software will be different than cloud platforms. And then the level of effort that goes into preparation, actually executing those changes, because sometimes the managed service team actually does the change, does the upgrade, whereas sometimes it's the platform and then all the testing, regression testing that goes into it. That's a big part of consideration.
Right, and a lot of coordination goes on with the product vendor as well.
Yeah.
So that's where managed services team can be the interface between the client and the product team to really work on their features and updates and track those as well. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. And different service providers provide different support. Obviously you will have some documentation, but there are instances, like you said, when you have to actually reach out to the platform provider and open a case or have a conversation with one of their representatives to talk through all the changes that are happening. You had a recent example of that when there was an upgrade to one of the products and the communication back and forth that happened, right?
Right, and that's where we had to work with the account team and make sure that automatic upgrades are in place for the next rollout. So definitely that's one thing even the product team stepped up and they made sure that the client's requirements are met and taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is goes to having a provider that has that deep relationship, has that deep understanding of the software, because what I've seen over the years as the platforms mature, these upgrades get more and more complicated. It started with 50 to 80 pages of documentation about an upgrade. Now we're up to 500 in one of the platforms we're working with.
Right.
So having a provider that has that reputation, has that experience, and dealing with these types of scenarios is critical.
We work with both of them, the client and the provider, on it. So
absolutely. So Karan, can you speak a little bit about kind of a related topic to this, which is talent, and how do you manage, because again, as systems get more and more complicated, there's specialized knowledge needed. So I'm sure that I'm not the only one who observes that there's a challenge finding talent in this industry in general.
Absolutely. I mean, talent is there, and then training is where we basically I believe a lot in as well, and I'm sure you also, we've discussed it briefly before, where you get the talent in place, give them the right training that's needed to be facing the client and serving the client's needs correctly as well. So a lot of training besides the regular work that goes on, whether it's training in soft skills, whether it's consulting skills, whether it's project management, finance. So all of that basically makes a complete consultant to serve the client. So that's what we focus on as well, providing all those trainings besides the technical training that comes along with the job.
Yeah, and with talent we're out there, right? Which I know we're all keenly aware of. There's a lot of things that either organizations or companies like ours can do to retain talent. Can you speak a little bit about kind of career opportunities and how that plays into talent retention?
When we have the new associates join in, initially they will go through the regular training of doing the day-to-day job. But we also have longer-term goals for that, where they can be more client-facing if they have to visit the client, understand the requirements. So there's cross-training as well. From a BA will know what a developer is working on, so that they get the end-to-end picture. And that's the goal for every consultant, and that basically, at least that I've seen, they work on cross-training. Because technology, once you learn, complete your studies, you know the technology, but how you implement it in different areas and to meet the client's needs is what training is needed, and that's what I believe in and providing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a huge part of it. I think in our industry and consultants especially, they're looking for opportunities to expand their skill sets, right? And
Right.
if you're not growing, then that's always a bad sign. So I think giving opportunities for cross training, for learning new platforms, new technologies, like you said, cross training between functional, technical, project management, even aspects of
Right.
of implementation or managed service aspects.
Yeah.
I think that's again, it's important to keep your talent challenged.
Absolutely. And with that, with AI coming into the
Yeah.
mix now, that's a lot of work that can be done using AI as well. So how we implement AI, how do we train our employees on AI? How do we train the right from the executives to the junior developers and associates? Everybody will need to use AI, and
Absolutely.
how we implement AI is going to be another key thing that we are working on as well. It's already here, and it is in use. So
Yeah, you're
yeah,
absolutely right. And AI is going to replace kind of the low level skills, the basic support type elements. I mean, it's amazing to see what AI can do. Again, the work that help desk or call center do oftentimes as part of the managed service package, right? Which is asking or answering basic questions, resetting passwords, things of that nature. All those things can be automated with AI, and we've seen use cases, where AI can, talk to you just as a real person, as an agent. So, if somebody calls a help desk and wants an answer, AI can answer most of those questions. So
right.
so really the shift that I see, as you're saying, is for the talented folks, to kind of take the more complex tasks, and these lower level activities be more and more outsourced to the AI.
Level 1 activities where it's password resets or similar activity that can be all done by AI, and um, even for the client, that gives the opportunity for the client team to kind of grow and learn other things in their domain and focus on those as well. So AI definitely will. It is here. It is being used and being implemented. And the sooner basically everybody adapts it, I guess it'll help the team. Not only ticketing is definitely one thing, even for knowledge sharing. So whenever from a managed services point of view, if somebody has to work on a use case that was already worked on before, they can go into the directory and use AI to see what all work was done on similar cases, on similar issues, and that will give the response time, reduce it by a lot, and then even the responses and the solutions would be accurate, because a lot of that work has been done before and they have the answer for that. So they don't have to go through digging manuals of documentation to see what the fix was for those issues, and that'll help a lot using AI.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the help desk support. I think the other use cases, just to tie in what you said, is documentation. As somebody who started as somebody who implemented systems, the one piece of software development I probably like the least is documentation, right? It's fun to design software, it's fun to build it, it's fun to test it, but then to document it is one of those big hurdles, and uh, it's difficult oftentimes to find the right documentation for a system. When we come in, when we try to replace a system, where's the documentation? It's oftentimes lacking, and I think this is an area that AI can do a tremendous tremendous improvement to efficiencies, because nowadays documentation can be generated in a matter of seconds.
Yep, absolutely. And Initially, I've read there was some concerns that people had about using AI as a security, but there is closed loop modules available, and LLM has got basically kind of different options as well that can be used in a closed environment and a secure environment for AI to be used. So definitely there is those avenues, and there's not much of an issue using AI for critical data, critical client data as well.
Yeah, but it's I think that's an area that that's still being kind of explored, right? And as we're kind of starting to dip into the world of AI, the interaction of data and proprietary data and the models and different tools out there. There's a lot of questions, and it's still an evolving field. So I definitely recommend for whoever's looking into kind of adopting AI to explore, ask about is this a closed loop, or is this data going somewhere into the cloud, and have that honest conversation.
Right. Absolutely. Those are critical things as well.
Yeah. So with that being said, the other topic that I often hear from our clients is, how do we kind of have a predictable model, right? Because help desk and support is somewhat predictable. There's somewhat steady state, but there's peaks and valleys. So how do we go about kind of forecasting and understanding what that projection looks like? So can you speak a little bit about that from your experience?
Yeah. So for the forecasting perspective, is basically the client is not looking. Mostly, they are looking for a longer term solution. They don't want from what I've seen and spoken to clients, it's not a small term solution fix that they want. They want to see what licenses will cost, what are the enhancements going to cost over a long term period. They were looking at a few years duration rather than forecasting in a 1 month or 2 month time frame. So that's where the focus on, and many of the clients are even working on that, whether how many resources they would need for a longer duration, and then they can do their work on the budget planning accordingly as well. So that's a key thing.
You're absolutely right. Then obviously it's harder to forecast the farther into the future you go, but it's a meticulous planning that has to go into that to project out what's our forecast for licenses, like you said, so to understand what users are going to be needing the license in the future. Are there different groups that are going to join particular platform? And then the services, to your point, do we need to plan for peaks at certain periods of time? And I think it's a challenge, and I think it's important again to kind of work with a provider that can scale up and down, right? Because sometimes you just won't be able to predict, even with all the best planning tools and methodologies we have.
Right.
Yeah. You have to have that flexibility.
Yep, absolutely, and that's where the vendor can come in and provide their experience and provide a longer term solution, longer roadmap. We discussed earlier whether it's going to be upgrades, software upgrades. The forecast is going to be higher at that particular time. So depending on the enhancements that the client has, it could vary, but a longer approach where it can be consistent across the board would definitely help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think now that we've been doing this for so many years with so many clients, we kind of understand, to your point, when there's a software upgrade, and a lot of the platforms we work with have a predictable software upgrade periods, so we can plan for that. And again, we've oftentimes worked with clients and really understand their historical data, like number of tickets open on the original platform, number of users, and the trend over time. What was it 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago? And then kind of also I've oftentimes talked to the client about their long-term roadmap and kind of brainstorm what are some of the opportunities to expand services, which again will have an impact on the managed service support. I mean, obviously, the more features and more users on the platform, the managed services has to scale up.
Right, absolutely, and definitely it's going to impact and benefit from a capex and opex perspective as well, where the budgeting and the finance will definitely be beneficial for the client when there's accurate forecasting and resourcing in place as well.
So I think that the moral of the story is, for everybody who's thinking about managed services, to start thinking long term, right? This is not a near term play. This is something that you're kind of with the platform for many years, and kind of start thinking for that long term, and select a partner that can scale up with the platform along with you.
Absolutely, I could not agree with you more on that. So it's all about managing the system for a longer term and having a longer roadmap uh, and get the job done. So.
Would you have any other advice, for clients kind of looking at managed services and the different options, and maybe how do you select the right providers?
For managed services perspective, a longer term view of where the client wants to be, what are the newer technologies that the client wants to use, would be definitely helpful, and they'll need to have a longer roadmap for managed services work as well. And that could include use of AI, that could include use of other newer technologies, but a longer term roadmap would definitely help the client rather than a short term vision on using managed services.
Okay, all right. Any other thoughts that you have on managed services before we wrap?
I think managed services is definitely it is beneficial to the client. It can be, I would say, sometimes less costly for the client as well. Some minor enhancements can also be worked. Once the managed services team is in place, they already have been working on the system for a longer time. If that's the case, they can work on smaller enhancements and with a quicker time as well, and quicker schedule as well. So that's one thing I've seen in other projects where an experienced and dedicated team can get the job done much quicker.
You're absolutely right, and as somebody who's been working in the mode, and being part of big implementations, I can also see how beneficial it is to actually plan that transition right between the implementation. If you have a large project that's multi-million dollars for many years, and then you finally launch it, you're finally done. Again, like I said, it's one of those celebratory moments, but you need to immediately start thinking about managed services, the support that it'll take. And again, there's a huge benefit of the same service provider or same integrator who did the implementation to kind of continue with the managed services, because they have the best knowledge of the platform. They already know the challenges that there might be encountered, and kind of continuing that relationship. And again, I think it's all about that communication between client and the provider, and understanding exactly to your point what is that roadmap, and how do we make the most of that platform. Because if you don't support it well, if you don't have that long-term thinking and have that capability to constantly improve it, you're both increasing a risk of you're not making the most of the platform, or B, you're kind of opening up yourself to some of those unwanted surprises, as I would like to say.
Absolutely. It's a critical thing, and I totally agree on that.
Karan, thank you for the conversation. I hope everybody got some really useful insights from that. So, speaking about managed services, but what do you do besides work, and what do you do kind of to for your hobbies, or outside after you're done with all the work?
So I'm a avid cricket follower. I used to play cricket for my university college back in the day. I still play cricket whenever I can, but definitely watch all the matches that India plays. That's my favorite team, and follow them to the T. And also, we in the company as well, we have a lot of players who are interested in cricket and playing cricket as well. So we go out on weekends, or at least every other weekend, and go for a game and just have fun outside. So.
All right. Well, I hope we won last week.
We won last week as well, and then we are just hoping we'll continue the momentum. So.
That's awesome to hear.
What about you, Jacob? What's your passion?
Speaking of sports, my passion has been since I was a little kid. I've been playing tennis. It's one of those hobbies that actually, I got to pursue. Through my career, I actually had a tennis scholarship. That was one of the opportunities. How I came to the United States, and I've been playing tennis ever since. And now I'm lucky enough to play with my daughter, who picked up the sport about a year ago. Nice. So we've been playing regularly, and it's a fantastic way to kind of decompress, recharge after work. Great for both body and mind. So it's definitely recommend for others to pick up some sport or do some activities besides work as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for watching our podcast, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.